On this episode, we're going to talk about how you can get booked on podcasts and be a guest on multiple shows.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all. How would you like to be able to interview world-class experts? Sit down and have chats with people like Jack Canfield, Marianne Williamson, Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss, you name it. Would you love to interview other people that you really admire and consider to be your heroes? Well, we've created a course for you that teaches you how to podcast, how to set it all up, and how to get going so that you can really have a successful show and you can do it properly. Over at thrivinglaunch.com, we have a podcasting course, and it's there for you, waiting for you to snatch it up. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com and let me teach you how to podcast the right way.
We are so excited to talk about how to get more publicity by getting booked on podcasts. This has been something that's been really important for Luis and I. Getting booked on lots of podcasts, I think over 100 podcasts, has really helped to dial in our message, to reach a broader audience, to drive traffic to our website, to get more sales and more clients. And so I want to make sure that we cover this topic again because it's such an important one. And the first thing that I want us to talk about here, Luis, is how to get your message dialed in.
And let's just assume that you've either gone and grabbed one of our guides that teaches you how to go and get booked. And so now we're diving in a little bit deeper, right? Because today we're not going to be covering how to get booked. We're going to assume that you kind of have that piece down, but how do you dial your message so that you're an incredible podcast guest? So that when you're a guest, people really are excited to listen to you, and then they also want to go and visit your website, they want to buy your products, and they become fans. They message you on social media, they're raving about you. And in order to have that, you need to have a message that is really dialed in and speaks to the audience. And the first thing that you need to know about having a message dialed in is that it's not about you. It's about the show that you're on, and it's about the audience. So when we dial in this message, let's say you're a marketer. You don't particularly want to go on a show and just rave about the success that you've had as a marketer and how great you are. Instead, you want to talk about some of the successes and then take that and bundle it up with how that helps the listener, how this message or this particular win speaks to a bigger message. So as a marketer, I'm committed to helping people make millions of dollars. And here's some examples of ways that we've done that.
I really encourage you to find 3 topics that you can talk about. Maybe it's something that you are a master at, or that's something that is really a skill set that you have, but make sure that you're not just getting booked on podcasts just because you want to get booked on podcasts. It's a strategic plan. You get booked on podcasts so you can build your buzz around something specific. So think about what it is that you want to offer as an end game. What is the thing that you want to drive buzz to? And once you have that dialed in, think about 3 topics that you can talk about that will help drive to the end game.
When you have your list of ideas or 3 pieces of content that you feel really comfortable speaking about, another piece that's really important regarding getting your message dialed in is offer the show host and its listeners something that you can give away that is really valuable, that will help the listener and help them improve in that topic that you've talked about further. So then you can also create some traffic that will come to your website or landing page and get some of those opt-ins so that your message goes deeper than just, hey, this is some information, but hey, this is some information, and if you want more, you can go here and it'll do X, Y, and Z for you.
So that topic is such an important thing. What are your talking points? What are the things that you're going to present yourself as an expert in solving for people's audience? And that really brings us to finding shows that match your message. And you really want to find shows that are related to the topics that you want to talk about. If you if you want to talk about health and happiness and relationships, then you wouldn't want to get booked on a show that's for doctors. You know, you want to find shows that are specific to your niche and your audience. Luis, what more do you want to talk about? Like, let's iron out this topic a little more. How do you really find those shows that are a match?
Something I want to say about that with Kamala's point is that I actually think that it's really beneficial and useful for you to have a message and be able to share it in a way that can appeal to multiple audiences. So let's say you are a marketer and you want to go on a parenting show, you can talk about how marketing can help parents create jobs with increased freedom, or how understanding copywriting can help stay-at-home moms who work from home understand how to sell using social media. So you could go on a parenting show and talk a little bit about how copywriting or how marketing has helped you as a parent. So you can kind of find those particular angles and niches, but first you really need to understand your message and have that honed in first, and then you can start playing with it and utilizing it in different, more unique ways.
Yeah, that's all really great stuff. And from there, you basically want to find those shows, do some research, and I'd suggest making a list of 20 to 30 different shows that you feel like you'd be a good fit for. And, you know, one tool that's really great is just going into iTunes and going to the search bar and searching some of the subjects that you want to talk about and that you are an expert in. You can just go up to the top and maybe type in publishing a book and see what other episodes or podcasts have been covered about that topic. And you know that that podcast might be a good fit for you.
When you're doing this too, something that will help you is you can type in some of the keywords that are relevant to your field, or some kind of more long tail keywords, where it's like, how to publish a book, and look at podcasts that have covered this topic. And the other thing you want to do to make sure that the podcast is a match for you is check to see, how often does this show published? When was their most recent podcast episode published? What kinds of guests had they had on their show? Is it a solo-based show, or is it a show that has guests? Was it a year or two ago that the most recent episode came out? Are their episodes generally only 2 minutes? Are they 10 minutes? Are they 45 minutes? Do they tend to have reputable and respectable guests on their show? Do they have a link from iTunes that goes to their website? Does their website look professional? Do they look like people that really know their stuff? And all this stuff matters because a lot of us can't get those metrics that tell us how big a show is, or is the show sponsored, or how big of an email list, how many listeners does the show get. But we want to know that we're going on shows that are worthwhile and valuable. And while I've been on tons of shows and I've found pretty much every single one to be of value and worth my time, what I've found is that taking just a few extra minutes to scroll through the podcast episodes and asking myself, who did they have on their show last? Have they had some reputable names that I've heard of, or people that look respectable and are professionals? And are they consistent in publishing their podcast? Maybe they're not so consistent that it comes out every single week, but they're consistent in that there's an episode just a week or two ago came out, and before that it was a few days, and before that it was a week. And I can see that they're people that are pushing out regular content. And if I can see all those signs, and then I also go to a website, and their website's, at the very least decent, if not good, if it's a good website, okay, now I know they're buttoned up and their show means something to them, and they probably have an audience, and they're people that take this podcasting and this online business thing, or online and podcasting, they take this stuff seriously, which will be good for me to be on that platform. So those are the key things to look for when you're looking to see if a show is a match. Does it match with the particular thing that you talk about? Is it the kind of audience that you want to tap into? Is the show consistent enough that you know that if you're on it, it'll be worthwhile and valuable? And have they had some amazing guests, right? Because if you go on a show and they've had Jack Canfield or Oprah Winfrey as guests, then, hey, you're going to be joining this incredible roster of a show that's had these amazing guests. And maybe these guests have decided to share the show with their audience. So that means this show now has this kind of this fandom that has really grown because they've had amazing guests, and now you're part of that roster, and you can utilize it as something for bragging rights later on. I've been on the show that's had Jack Canfield and Robert Kiyosaki. Don't you want me on your show? Of course people will want you. If you can get on stages or television shows or podcasts that have had these powerful individuals on as guests, then it means that you are somebody who is also of equal value.
Well, there you have it, you guys. This is something I really encourage you to go out today and implement, really getting honed in on what your message is, those 3 main topics that you can talk about that lead to something bigger for you, that really set the bar for what you have to offer. And then going in and finding those shows that are going to be a match for you. So that's really the baseline for getting booked on podcasts, and we will look forward to listening to those episodes. Keep thriving, y'all. You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.